It's 1:08. Joining me in the studio is Damien Power, the director and writer of Killing Ground, a chilling Australian horror thriller, as well as Harriet Dyer, who plays Sam in the movie. We know Harriet, of course, from Love Child. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Is Auntie Penny listening? Remember last time?
I know. I don't know. I should have texted her. She's probably listening.
If she's listening, give us a call, because last time Harriet was here, Auntie Penny rang in, 96900 693. We are laughing now, but people won't be laughing watching your movie, Damien.
No, that's right. It's a bit of a scary film.
Very scary. I didn't like reading online Deliverance Down Under, because it's got nothing to do with the Deliverance story, but probably nice to be compared in that level.
I mean, that was one of the films that I looked back to, you know, those character-driven survival thrillers from the 70s like Deliverance and Straw Dogs, in terms of, you know, those films that they take their protagonists, often a couple, and put them through the ringer to see what survives.
Where was this set?
So it's set in the middle of nowhere, sort of a remote campsite out bush, and we ended up finding the middle of nowhere as close to Sydney as we could, which was a nature reserve in Macquarie Fields.
And just to give a bit of a picture, the young couple have decided they're going to sort of go on a bit of a trek to the bush.
Yeah, that's right. So they go camping at this remote spot. But when they get there, they find a car and a tent, but no sign of the campers. You know, they decide to stay because they've come a long way and it's a great spot. But as the day progresses, they grow increasingly uneasy when the campers fail to show up. And then the next day, they find a child wandering in the woods, and that's kind of the beginning of all their troubles. A
lot of troubles. Harriet, a pretty grueling role.
Yeah, fun though. I think this stuff's really fun. I love scary movies, and I have for a very long time. So I was up for it.
So you're ready for the you get in the vibe really easily.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a big fan of kind of these kind of genre films, and for a long time my favourite films have been pretty scary. But yeah, so it was kind of like a goal and an aim to one day do something like that. So when the script came along and the audition was successful, I was really pumped for it. It is quite physical, a lot of screaming and running, and then you have to kind of remember, I don't know, to be as terrified as a person with a gun to their head.
Is that exhausting, a day of acting like that?
Yes, it is. But it's the best. I mean, I just come off Love Child season 3, I think, when we shot this, where I was mostly just standing in the back of shot holding a baby, and that, you know.
Well, this is a bit more challenging.
Exactly.
There's some baby holding.
There is some baby holding. I'd much rather go to bed after a day of really earning my supper than not.
What was the Sundance experience like for you, Damien?
Sundance was amazing. So, you know, there's my life before Sundance and after Sundance, and they're two separate things. So we're in the midnight section, which meant that most of our screenings actually happened at midnight. So you know,
this is perfect for a midnight.
Yeah, and you know that people are keen if they're fronting up to watch your film in a blizzard at midnight. So those audiences were fantastic. They're amazing. So, you know, while we were there, they scheduled an extra screening. We sold the film to IFC Midnight, who have put the film out in the States. It came out there a couple of weeks ago. And off the back of it, you know, I was able to sign with an agent over there. So,
what were you doing prior to this? So
prior to this, I've worked off and on in different places in classification. So, you know, I used to be a member of the Film Classification Board back in the day, and then I was doing it for the ACMA. And then when I made the film, I was doing it at Foxtel.
When you're in film classification, do you get many complaints?
Mm-hmm.
Are people confused?
I found that you got complaints when people experience something they weren't expecting. Now, it doesn't matter what that is. It doesn't matter, you know, if it's nudity in a cooking program, for example.
I'd be up for more of that.
Auntie Penny might be listening.
Nigella?
Yeah. You've even done the casting.
Yeah, that's right.
Well done. That is very funny. Have you sat in cinemas, or did you do it at Sundance, with the audience who don't know that you're the director and writer?
Yeah.
Just to gauge reaction?
I've sat in a lot of cinemas and seen the film with an audience, and it's a great film to watch in the cinema because people really get into it. They get quite vocal. There are moments in the film where you can hear, you know, audible gasps and people screaming or yelling at the screen. Actually, in one of the Sundance screenings, we had a guy who was sitting on the aisle, which is probably a good thing, because he actually leapt up out of his seat. He couldn't contain himself. He was jumping up and down in the aisle, and I was like, is he okay? But he couldn't take his eyes off the screen. So
that's a feather in your cap.
Yeah, I mean, people get quite involved.
Let's get to the other element here without giving away too much. Aaron Pedersen and Aaron Glenane, fabulous.
Yeah, no, they're great. And they bring...
Not what you expect from Aaron Pedersen.
No, that's right. I mean, he usually plays cops. And so I thought, we'll never get him for this because that's what he does. But, I think he was really happy because he doesn't get offered these roles. And, he really embraced it. And both those guys brought a real kind of humanity, I feel, to those characters, because it was important to me that they not just be kind of cartoonish villains, but they're guys that you could meet at the pub, and if you didn't know what they did, you might think that they were okay.
And you get the vibe from him right from the very first time he pops up on screen.
Yeah.
And it's not a good one. No. Harriet, this could be the first international release for you.
Oh yeah, I think that's right. Yes.
Have you got any sort of people looking for stuff overseas for you?
Oh, I hope so. You never know. I mean, I have a manager in the States.
Okay,
He's
good.
pretty excited. He'd like me to be there more. It seems in publicity words getting around that I'm moving there, but I'm not really. I'm very available here. I am expanding my network a little bit.
Yeah, just get on a plane if you have to.
Exactly. It's so easy right now to have a foot in each pond and send tapes back home or send tapes over there. It's an amazing kind of time to be an actor because you can audition for things in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
On your iPhone.
Is it that you're quite comfortable doing that?
I mean, you just have to be. If you're not flexible, you get left behind.
What's it meant for you, Damien, as far as career?
Well, I mean, it's essentially given me a career. Before the film, I was working in a 9-to-5 job. I was working in that job when I made the film. I took leave to make the film. I was working in that job right up until Sundance. And then when I came back from the festival, I quit that job to take advantage of the opportunities that the film has opened up.
Will you continue in this genre? Yeah,
look, I'm developing a couple of thrillers at the moment. I mean, I love that genre as a film goer, and as a filmmaker, I think of it as thrillers are just dramas with high stakes. And you can tell these stories that take people on this amazing ride, but at the same time leave them with something to think about.
I guess from your perspective, with the release in the United States and I guess in other countries as well, this could be beginning of an incredible ride.
I hope so.
They called him the Prince of Darkness today. Australia's new Prince of Darkness.
I know. I feel like I should have a cape to live up to that. But you're right. I mean, next week it comes out in Brazil and Thailand in cinemas. I mean, it's just... the film's had an amazing life.
When did you write it?
Oh, look, the germ of the idea came to me probably about 13 years ago. And so... it's been a long journey, but I think about 5 years ago we had the script at a stage where we were ready to go out and sort of seek financing and put all those pieces together.
Well, it's great to know an Australian-made movie has got that international release, and I'm sure there'll be lots of listeners who want to get along to it. It isn't a comedy. You might have gathered that. It's certainly not a comedy. And the other thing I've realised here, Harriet?
What?
Auntie Penny isn't listening today because she hasn't rung in.
Oh, Pen.
She's let you down.
Yeah.
Maybe she's got her gardening gloves on. She can't get to her phone.
No,
we'll go around and knock on a door.
All right. Great to see both of you. A Killing Ground, it is called. I'll be chatting about it tomorrow with Paul Harris in our movie segment, but continued success to both of you.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Thanks, Dennis.